Welcome to Be Lifted Up, your guide to living an abundant life. I'm here with my co-host, DC Marshall. We talk about abundant life. We talk about faith and finance. And this show is really all about that. We're talking about investing and closing the wealth gap and tapping into your God-given potential to build wealth. Listen, we're looking at the stock market, being kind of tumultuous right now. We're talking about entering a bear market. We're talking about the possibility of recession. We're talking about the changes that we've experienced coming through the pandemic and the pandemic within the pandemic. But here's the deal. The principles of wealth creation over time pretty much stay the same if you stay the course. Listen, we have the perfect guest. Both Dee and I know her, love her, respect her, admire her work and her expertise. We're talking about Cassandra Cummings, financial advisor, and the founder of the Stocks and Stiletto Society. Cassandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today, Alfred and Dee. I really appreciate you bringing me on today.
Now, as usual, what happens every week almost, I'm like, I know Cassandra. Dee, let me introduce you to Cassandra. She's like, I know Cassandra already. And Dee can obviously weigh in, but you just recently moderated a session for us at the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit. That was an amazing session. I ran up to you right after the session and said, great job. And your what you do with Stocks and Stiletto is very well known to the Black Enterprise audience. But Dee's always like, nah, you're not going to one up me. I know Cassandra too.
I think every guest we know.
You have the sparring, like she's
or
lying.
They know us, but sometimes we fight over like, well, who's really our friends? Like,
right.
No, actually, pretty much. So, but in any event, you know what I think that says before we get started, that our community is a super sweet community. I think that's really it. I think the community that we play and the roles that all of us hold, they're multifaceted, and there's a lot of love and admiration and respect, and we all play in big spaces. So that's super sweet. Versus, celebrity, different from brands and influencers, there's distance, right? But in our space of experts and subject matter experts and or influencers or CEOs, it's very much a close-knit community. So, but that said, we want to clear the time and the space for you to chat with us and to share. And so Alfred loves this space, so I'll let him lead. He likes to lead, and all the finance people like, okay, Alfred. So
Cassandra knows how I am. She knows how I am. But before we get started, I'd like you to go a little bit deeper into who you are, how you came to do what you do, the Stocks and Stiletto Society, why that's so important. Let's give our audience a little bit more background about what you do, what your passion is, and why, in my opinion, you are one of the perfect guests. Of course, Dee and I love all our guests, but a perfect guest would be Lifted Up, your guide to living an abundant life.
Yes, I do remember that event too out there in Newark. It was an amazing event, and it left me feeling very filled, and I took some amazing takeaways from my event. But just to quickly tell you who I am, I'm Cassandra Cummings, founder of the Stocks and Stiletto Society. Over 100,000 Black women investors are a part of my community, and we really talk about the stock market and a lot of different, a myriad of investing topics that have to do with real estate, investing in startup companies, angel investing, things like that, to really maximize and build a foundation of wealth. This wealth talk, wealth journey is so important for our community. And I feel really honored and blessed to be able to walk this path and lead fearlessly a band of women to economic prosperity. So I'm excited to be here. I have a background in finance. I was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, AIG, as well as MetLife. And I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Southern California in accounting from the Kenneth Leventhal School of Accounting. So I live and breathe this every day, and I make it palatable for women who look like me to be comfortable talking about money and investing.
Yeah, I would say even more than palatable, which is why I first got to know you, because I think you did one of our virtual events. I guess that was in 2021, and I'm not sure. I think I just found you on Instagram, and
Yeah.
that's not how I found you. But you were so great because in this financial space, and of course, Black Enterprise spends a lot of time trying to communicate investment principles, financial principles. A lot of it is about, you talk about fearlessness. Taking away the fear and the trepidation about what I don't know, and I don't want to look like I don't know, and you really make it very, very accessible so that people can get on the on-ramp of saying it's okay that I don't know, but it's okay also for me to take steps to learn. Talk to me about your whole approach to making this stuff approachable.
Yeah, I think, what I've learned, I was a school teacher in LA Unified School District for 4 years. I taught 7th grade math. And one thing that I had to do differently was to take traditional tools or traditional methods and really figure out unconventional ways to approach these same subject matters. And I do that with money, right? Money has been around for ages, but how do we actually turn how we view money, how we learn about how money works on its head, and really bring a sense of edutainment to money, to make it approachable, to make it easy to learn how money works. And when we do that, we see that our bank accounts flourish, we see prosperity within reach, we see these things when it comes to wealth building. And that's really what I bring that's different, I believe, to what other financial educators and so forth are doing out there.
And we're going to be talking a lot on this show about investing in the current market. And I want to point this thing again about fearlessness. And faith is about operating without fear.
Yes.
And you can't really be a successful investor if you can't ignore fear. It exists, but you got to at least be able to manage it in order to make the decisions that's best for you. Talk to me a little bit about this whole idea. You're talking about being a fearless leader, but you're also cultivating people who are fearless and leaving behind the trepidation about even trying to get into it. Because too many of us, kind of just put our heads in the sands. We don't even want to talk about it.
Right. I think there's a great quote by Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that says the difference between poor people and rich people is how they manage fear. And management of fear is huge because fear gets in the way, it wastes time, it makes you, make decisions that could really be detrimental to your financial success. And so being fearless and having faith that God's going to take care of me, having faith that I got this, I know I can get this. This isn't rocket science. I'm not trying to, find a solution to a differential or a calculus equation, makes it that much more easy to consume and digest when it comes to money. We all need money, right? So why not add an element of ease and comfort to how we deal with money? It's always been sort of taboo. And now I'm just sort of blowing the cover off on that to let people know, like, hey, you can get this too.
Listen, you're right on point. You're right in the pocket where we need to be. We are talking to Cassandra Cummings, the founder of the Stocks and Stiletto Society, a good friend to both Dee and me. So we're not going to fight over you today. We're not going to choose violence today.
Please don't.
Listen, you're listening to Be Lifted Up, your guide to living an abundant life. We will be right back with more.